Okay, let's dive into something really fascinating today. We're looking at some ancient wisdom, specifically a story that, well, it kicks off with a pretty unexpected premise.
Mm-hmm. An entire family deciding to ordain not just one person, but bang, 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 one after the other.
Exactly. It's quite a powerful narrative, isn't it? We're pulling this from commentary on early Buddhist texts.
That's right. It really focuses in on, one of the most fundamental human challenges, attachment, even maybe especially attachment to the people we love the most.
Absolutely. So the sources we're working with here, they're excerpts from commentary linked to a specific discourse by the Buddha.
The story itself is known as the story of the three ordained persons. In Pali, that's Tayopabbajitavatthu.
Tayopabbajitavatthu.
Got it.
And it's connected to some specific verses that start Ayoki Yunyumanatana.
Correct. And the setting, the place this all happens, is Savathi at the Jetavana Monastery, a really famous spot where the Buddha spent a lot of time.
Okay, so it's essentially this intense family drama unfolding against a spiritual backdrop.
Yeah, exploring that clash, the desire for liberation bumping up against these really deep emotional bonds.
Right, so let's get into the story itself. It starts with a family in Savathi. They have an only son.
And the commentary describes him as beloved and charming, clearly very precious to them.
So one day, some monks come to their house for alms, as they did.
Mm-hmm. And the son gets a chance to actually hear a Dharma talk from them.
And what he hears really hits home. It inspires him deeply.
Yeah, he gets this strong urge, this feeling that he needs to leave the household life and ordain as a monk.
Makes sense? But when he goes to his parents to ask for permission,
They flat out refuse. Absolutely not. This wasn't the plan they had for their, beloved son.
so he's determined, though. He hatches a plan.
He decides, okay, if they won't give permission, I'll just all ordain without them knowing.
And the parents, maybe they sense something or they're just super protective.
Right. They start this kind of constant watch over him. The father tells the mother, you watch him when I go out.
And the mother tells the father, okay, you watch him when I leave. Basically, tag teaming the guard duty.
Exactly. They kept him under pretty close surveillance.
But then comes the day he sees his chance. His father's out somewhere.
And his mother is guarding the front door, actually sitting there, spinning thread, with her feet physically blocking the doorway.
Wow, really blocking it.
Yeah. So the son, seeing this, asks, can I just step outside for a minute? Nature calls, basically.
The classic excuse.
Right. And she moves her feet just enough to let him pass.
And that's his moment.
He bolts, just runs straight out the door, makes a beeline for the monastery.
Quick thinking.
He gets there, finds the monks, asks for ordination.
And they ordain him. Just like that.
Just like that. The beloved son is now officially a bhikkhu, a monk.
Okay, so picture this. The father comes home, asks the mother, where's our son?
She says, oh, he was just here a minute ago. They look around, can't find him.
And the father immediately jumps to the conclusion they feared.
Yeah, he thinks, oh no, he must have gone to the monastery. He must have ordained.
So he rushes over there.
Finds his son, head shaved, wearing the robes. He's completely distraught.
Understandably.
He's crying, apparently saying things like, my son, why have you ruined me? Just overwhelmed.
But then something shifts.
Right. In that moment of despair, another thought hits him. Well, my son's a monk now. What's the point of me going back home? What's left for me there? So he asks the monks to ordain him too, following his son onto the path.
Okay, hold on. So now the son and the father are both monks.
Exactly. Meanwhile, back at the house, the mother's waiting, wondering where her husband and son are.
Why are they taking so long?
The same thought occurs to her. They must have gone to the monastery. Maybe they both ordained.
So she goes to check.
She goes, finds her husband and her son, both in robes.
Oh, wow.
And she reaches the exact same conclusion. Well, with both of them gone, what purpose is left for me at home?
Don't tell me.
Yep. She then goes over to the nun's residence, the Bhikkhuni Upasaya, and asks to be ordained as well.
Goodness. The entire family. Just like that. 1, 2, 3.
An incredible chain reaction. All ordained. But this is where the story takes another twist.
Okay. They've all taken the vows, committed to the monastic life.
But the commentary is very clear. It says they could not bear to be separated.
Ah. So the robes changed, but the feelings didn't.
Pretty much. Even living separately, the men in the monastery, the mother with the nuns, they kept finding ways to meet up.
Still hanging out together daily.
Sitting and talking together every day, that deep family bond, that attachment, it was still fully operational.
And I imagine this wasn't standard monastic procedure.
Not at all. It started causing issues. The text says their behavior bothered or annoyed the other monks and nuns.
Right, because it goes against the grain of the detachment that monastic life is meant to cultivate.
Exactly. It was clearly out of step.
So what happened? Did someone intervene?
The other monks saw this pattern, saw it wasn't quite right, and they reported it. They brought the situation to the Buddha's attention.
Okay, so the Buddha hears about this family.
And he summons the three of them, the son, the father, the mother, calls them before him.
And asks them straight up?
Asks if the reports are true. Are you really meeting like this every day? And they confirm it. Yes, Lord, it's true.
And his next question must have been, why?
Precisely. And their answer was simple, direct, and, well, profoundly honest.
What did they say?
They said, we cannot bear to be separated.
Just laid it bare.
Yeah.
The core issue.
Exactly. And this is the crucial point where the Buddha delivers the teaching prompted by their specific situation.
What did he tell them?
He told them first that this behavior was not fitting ayoga for people who have chosen the ordained path.
Not fitting. Okay.
And then he explained this really fundamental principle about suffering, dukkha.
Which is?
He said, and this is so central, not seeing the pleasant due to separation and seeing the unpleasant due to encountering it is suffering.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah.
So, losing what you like hurts.
Right. Separation from the pleasant causes suffering.
And getting what you don't like also hurts.
Exactly. Encountering the unpleasant, the disagreeable, that's suffering too.
So both attachment and aversion lead to pain.
Precisely. Therefore, his instruction was radical. He said one should not make anyone or anything pleasant or unpleasant among beings or phenomena sakharas.
Don't even make the distinction in your mind.
That's the implication, because the very act of labeling something as pleasant sets you up for the suffering of eventually being separated from it. The attachment itself is the seed of future pain.
Wow. Okay. And it was right after explaining this principle
that he spoke those verses we mentioned earlier, the ones starting ayogi unyamatana.
And the commentary really helps us understand what those verses mean in detail.
It does. It breaks down the key terms. Let's look at them. The first one is aigarji,
which you said it means not fitting.
Yes. The commentary explains it as what is not fitting to practice. It directly equates this with improper attention, ayoniso manasikara.
Improper attention. What would be an example of that?
Well, the commentary gives examples like focusing on or frequenting unsuitable places or objects. It mentions the 6 kinds of unsuitable haunts, and even lists things like vesyao kokara, basically, places like brothels or taverns, environments that pull the mind in unwholesome directions.
Okay, so ayogi unyamatana means applying yourself, putting your energy into that kind of detrimental, improper attention.
Exactly. Engaging with things that distract from the path.
Got it. And the next phrase is yogasminika ayojaya.
That's the flip side. It means not applying yourself to what is fitting, what is proper.
Which the commentary defines
as proper attention, yoniso manasikara. So the verse points out this double fault. Actively doing what you shouldn't and failing to do what you should. Wasting energy on the wrong things, neglecting the right things.
Makes sense. And the verses talk about someone who has attained. That means given up the purpose, right?
Yes, given up the purpose or the goal, attained. For someone ordained, the commentary specifies this goal is the 3 trainings, sikhataya.
The trainings in
things like higher virtue, apisila, higher concentration, adhisita, and higher wisdom, adipanya, the core framework of the Buddhist path.
So attained means abandoning the very reason you put on the robes in the first place.
Precisely. You've lost sight of the goal.
And while doing this, neglecting the trainings, they're described as piyaga.
Yes, piyaga. This means grasping or holding on to only what is pleasant.
And the commentary clarifies what pleasant means here.
It specifically defines it as the 5 sense pleasures, panyakamaguna. Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, physical sensations that are agreeable.
Okay, so let's piece that together from the commentary's view. You've got someone engaging in improper attention, neglecting proper attention. They've abandoned the actual spiritual goal, and instead they're just chasing sense pleasures.
It paints a pretty clear picture of someone who's, well, completely strayed from the path they intended to follow.
Yeah. And what's the consequence? The commentary uses this term, pietadanyujina. What does that describe?
It describes the state of mind of such a person. They end up envying those who are practicing correctly.
Envying the diligent ones.
Yes. Envying those who are applying themselves properly at Tanu Yoga, who are fulfilling the trainings, developing virtue, gaining concentration and wisdom, and as a result, they gain respect, maybe honor from others, even devas.
So the person stuck chasing pleasure sees others succeeding spiritually and feels envy, resentment.
Exactly. And the commentary adds a really critical outcome for this person, the one who gave up the goal and grasped the pleasant. It says they will eventually fall away from the teachings Sasanotokuto.
Meaning they'll likely disrobe, give up entirely.
That's the strong implication. They'll probably return to lay life, unable to sustain the practice because they were fundamentally misaligned.
Wow. That's a stark warning about how spiritual practice can unravel. It starts with where you put your attention.
It really does. And the verses then offer the direct antidote, the instruction. Mapiehi samaganishi apiehi kudakana.
What's the translation there?
It means, do not associate with the pleasant, nor with the unpleasant at any time, or not even for a single moment, as some translations put it.
Don't associate with pleasant or unpleasant. That sounds difficult.
It's a radical instruction, yes. It's telling you to cut off the very root of the problem, the mental habit of dividing experience into pleasant, what I want, what I cling to, and unpleasant, what I hate, what I push away. That habit fuels improper attention and the chasing of pleasures.
Okay, and the reason why you shouldn't do this is given right after, isn't it? Piyana adasana, dukkha apiyana kadasana.
Exactly. This circles right back to the core principle the Buddha stated to the family. It repeats, not seeing the pleasant due to separation from it is suffering, and seeing the unpleasant due to encountering it is suffering.
This is driving home that point.
Yeah.
The suffering comes directly from having made those categories of pleasant and unpleasant in your mind to begin with.
Precisely. Which leads logically to the next line. Tasma pyana kayarta, piapayo hipapako.
Tasma means therefore.
Yes. Therefore, because separation from the pleasant hurts and meeting the unpleasant hurts, one should not make anything pleasant. Don't mentally create that quality of pleasantness that leads to clinging.
And the reason given is pipayo hipapako. Separation from the pleasant is bad.
Bad or base, lowly, papako. The idea is that the separation itself, the pain that inevitably comes when you lose what you've clung to as pleasant, is a negative, unwholesome state. The attachment itself is the setup for that negative outcome.
So don't even start down that road of making things pleasant in an attached way.
That's the instruction.
Okay.
And the ultimate payoff for succeeding in this is stated in the final line the commentary explains. Gantate sanna vijanti yesanati prapyanti.
Which means?
Fetters do not exist for them, for whom there is no pleasant or unpleasant. Ganta means fetters, bonds, things that tie you to suffering.
So if you manage to stop creating pleasant and unpleasant through attachment and aversion, the fetters disappear.
That's the liberating promise. The commentary even specifies which fetters are directly tackled. It says, abhishak, covetousness, greed, a bodily fetter, is eliminated when you let go of grasping the pleasant.
Makes sense. Greed is about wanting the pleasant.
Right. And byapada, ill will, aversion, hatred, another bodily fetter, is eliminated when you let go of rejecting the unpleasant.
Aversion is about pushing away the unpleasant.
Exactly. So by working with this core dynamic of pleasant-unpleasant, you directly undermine these two major mental defilements.
And the commentary adds something crucial.
It adds that when these two primary fetters, rooted in liking and disliking, are eliminated, the remaining fetters are also eliminated.
So tackling these two clears the way for overcoming the others as well.
It seems to be the foundation. That's why the ultimate instruction derived from these verses is so direct. Pleasant or unpleasant should not be made. Don't create these mental categories through clinging and aversion.
That's a really powerful summary of the teaching. It locates the root of so much trouble in our own reactive minds, how we label things and then react with desire or hatred.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the teaching. Deep stuff. Now the big question, what effect did it have? Did it land? Did it work?
Well, the source gives us two different outcomes, which is really interesting.
Okay.
First, it says that at the end of this discourse, for the wider audience listening to the Buddha, the teaching was highly effective. Many people attained stream entry and other noble results.
Stream entry. So significant breakthroughs. They got it. The teaching resonated and led to real insight, real progress towards liberation for many listeners.
Clearly, for many, it was transformative.
What about family? The son, the father, the mother, the ones whose situation actually sparked this whole teaching.
Yeah, this is the poignant part. The text draws a stark contrast. It says that after hearing the Buddha lay all this out, explaining why their attachment was suffering, how clinging works, the path to freedom from it,
They did what?
they consulted among themselves. The three of them talked it over.
And despite hearing this profound teaching,
Their conclusion was exactly the same as before they heard it. They reiterated, "We cannot bear to be separated."
oh, wow. Seriously?
Yeah.
Even after all that?
Even after the Buddha himself explained the drawback of their attachment and the path beyond it, their emotional bond, their inability to face that separation was just too strong.
Stronger than the call to liberation.
It seems so. The commentary states it plainly. Because they couldn't overcome that fundamental attachment, that core, "we cannot bear to be separated,"
They
disrobed, gave up their robes, gave up their monastic vows,
and went back home.
and returned home, went back to lay life together.
That is just incredibly striking. The very teaching aimed at their specific problem leads others to profound liberation, but they themselves can't follow it.
It's a powerful illustration, isn't it? It shows the sheer force of attachment, even seemingly wholesome family love, and how it can become this insurmountable obstacle on a spiritual path that demands letting go.
It really hammers home the Buddha's point from the verses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That making things pleasant in that clinging way and being averse to the unpleasant, like the unpleasantness of separation, these aren't just minor glitches.
No, they're fundamental roots of suffering. Major hindrances, nivarnchas, especially when you're trying to cultivate the detachment needed for insight and freedom.
It really makes you think about how easily we settle into our comforts, our familiar bonds and affections.
And maybe we mistake that comfort, that familiarity, for genuine well-being.
Right. When, perhaps subtly, it might actually be the very thing holding us back from a deeper kind of peace, a freedom from the suffering inherent in clinging.
It's a challenging reflection. This family couldn't face the unpleasantness of separation, so they walked away from the path.
While others, hearing the exact same words, found freedom from the kind of suffering the family was still trapped in.
Yeah. It really highlights the personal nature of this struggle with attachment.
So, maybe something for you, the listener, to consider from this ancient story. It starkly shows how the comfort of clinging can sometimes outweigh the call to freedom. Where, in your own life, perhaps, might holding on to what feels pleasant, safe, or familiar be subtly preventing you from seeing a deeper truth, or maybe from taking a step onto a path that asks for a different kind of courage, the courage to let go.